Last Tuesday at 9:47 a.m., I received an email that was never meant for my eyes. A spreadsheet containing 200 employee names, termination dates, and severance calculations. My name was number 47, but here's what made my blood run cold. My name was the only one highlighted in yellow, and in the notes column next to it, someone had typed 3 words that changed everything. Handle him carefully.
I've been a senior systems architect at Meridian Technologies for 7 years. 7 years of late nights, weekend deployments, and building the infrastructure that quite literally keeps this company running. I'm not being dramatic. I designed the core framework that processes over 40 million transactions daily. But let me back up to Monday, the day before everything imploded. The rumors had been circulating for weeks, whispers in the break room, nervous glances during meetings. Everyone knew something was coming. Our parent company, Vertex Holdings, had been making aggressive moves to streamline operations, corporate speak for layoffs. My manager, Patricia Hendricks, had been acting strange for about a month. She stopped making eye contact during our one-on-ones, started canceling our weekly syncs. When I asked her directly if my position was secure, she smiled, that corporate smile, and said, "Marcus, you're essential to this team. Don't worry about the noise." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? My performance reviews were stellar. I had just received a spot bonus 3 months ago for saving a critical system migration. I was the guy they called at 2 a.m. when everything broke. Tuesday morning started normally. Coffee, emails, a stand-up meeting where everyone pretended not to be terrified. Then at 9:47 a.m., my inbox pinged. The sender was Diane Morrison, our VP of Human Resources. The subject line read, RE, Phase 2 Execution Timeline, Confidential. I remember thinking it was odd. I wasn't typically on HR distribution lists. Then I saw the attachment, Reduction in Force Master List Final.xlsx. My first thought was that this was a mistake. My second thought was that I shouldn't open it. But something in my gut, that primal instinct we all have when we know something's wrong, made me click it. 200 names. 200 careers, 200 families about to be devastated. I scrolled through the spreadsheet, my heart pounding, searching for familiar names. Engineering, marketing, finance, operations. No department was spared. Then I saw it. Row 47. Marcus Williams, Department Engineering, position, Senior Systems Architect, termination date, Friday, severance, 4 weeks. 4 weeks after 7 years. 4 weeks. But what really stopped my heart was the yellow highlight. Every other name was in plain white cells. Mine was highlighted yellow, and in the notes column, handle him carefully, knowledge retention risk, schedule exit interview with legal present. Knowledge retention risk. They knew. They knew that I was the only person who understood certain critical systems. They knew that letting me go could cause serious operational problems, and their solution wasn't to keep me, it was to handle me carefully. I sat there for what felt like hours, but was probably 3 minutes. My hands were shaking. I took screenshots. I forwarded the email to my personal account. Call it survival instinct. Then I noticed something else in the spreadsheet, a tab at the bottom labeled retention bonuses. I clicked it. 23 names, management and executives who were receiving retention bonuses to stay through the transition. Patricia Hendricks was on that list. She was getting a $40,000 bonus to oversee the termination of her own team members, the same woman who had looked me in the eye and told me not to worry. I felt sick. I needed air. I grabbed my badge and headed for the parking garage, trying to process what I'd just seen. That's when I ran into Derek Chen, one of my closest colleagues. He'd been with the company for 9 years. His wife had just had their second baby 3 months ago. They'd just bought a house. "You okay, man?" he asked, clearly noticing something was wrong. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I couldn't tell him. Not yet. Not like this. Just feeling a little off, I managed. Probably need some air. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios. Part of me wanted to believe this was a mistake. Maybe they'd changed their minds. Maybe the list wasn't final. But the word final in the file name haunted me. Wednesday morning, I watched my coworkers go about their day, completely unaware that their lives were about to change. Laughing in the kitchen, complaining about traffic, making plans for the weekend. I felt like I was attending a funeral where no one knew they weren't dead yet. That afternoon, Patricia scheduled an all-hands meeting on Thursday at 2 p.m. The calendar invite was vague, Q4 organizational update. But I knew. We all knew. I spent Wednesday night making a decision. I could stay quiet, accept my fate, take my 4 weeks and move on, or I could do something.
The yellow highlight on my name kept echoing. Handle him carefully. They saw me as a problem to be managed, a risk to be contained. Thursday morning, I arrived early. I had a plan.
All right, I need to stop here for a second, because at this point, I'm setting on a literal bomb of information. I know something that could change everything, for me, for Derek, for all 200 people on that list, and I'm about to make a choice that I can never take back. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done? Would you have stayed quiet and protected yourself, or would you have blown the whole thing up? Hit subscribe if you think what I did next was justified, because I promise you, the way this unfolds is something nobody saw coming, not even me. At 1:45 p.m., 15 minutes before the all-hands meeting, I walked into the IT server room. As a senior systems architect, I had access to everything. Every system, every backup, every log. I didn't do anything malicious. I want to be crystal clear about that. What I did was much more surgical. I pulled the complete audit trail for the past 6 months, every document, every email, every decision that led to this moment, and I found something that made the layoff list look like child's play. Vertex Holdings, our parent company, had been cooking the books. They'd been inflating revenue projections to justify their acquisition strategy, and now that reality wasn't matching their fantasy numbers, they needed to cut costs dramatically to hide the shortfall. The layoffs weren't about efficiency, they were about covering up financial mismanagement at the executive level. But here's the kicker. The retention bonuses for management were being funded by raiding the employee pension fund. 23 executives getting bonuses, while 200 employees were being thrown out, their retirement contributions quietly redirected. I had emails, I had spreadsheets, I had everything. The all-hands meeting started at 2 p.m. sharp. The conference room was packed. Diane Morrison from HR stood at the front, flanked by Patricia and 2 people I'd never seen before, lawyers, presumably. The anxiety in the room was suffocating. Diane started her prepared remarks. As many of you know, we've been evaluating our organizational structure to position ourselves for future growth. I was sitting in the back row. My laptop was open, my hand was hovering over the enter key. Today, we're announcing a strategic workforce realignment that will affect approximately 200 positions across the company. Gasps, whispers. Someone started crying. Patricia took over, her voice steady and rehearsed. We want to assure everyone that this decision was made thoughtfully, with deep consideration for... I hit enter. Every screen in the conference room, the main display, the video conference monitors, even the digital signage in the hallway suddenly displayed the same thing. The audit trail documents, emails discussing the pension fund raid, spreadsheets showing the financial manipulation, and at the top in bold letters, these are the real reasons for your layoff. The room erupted. Diane's face went white. Patricia dropped her notes. The lawyers started frantically whispering to each other. What the hell is this? Someone shouted. Derek Chen was staring at the screen, then looked back at me. Our eyes met. He understood. People were taking photos of the screens with their phones. Someone was already on a call. I heard them say journalist and whistleblower. One of the lawyers pointed at me. Security, that man needs to be removed immediately. But before you remove me, I said, standing up, my voice carrying across the silent room, everyone should know that the pension fund irregularities I just displayed are currently being sent to the Department of Labor, the SEC, and 3 major news outlets. Whatever happens to me in the next 5 minutes, the truth is already out. Diane Morrison looked like she was going to faint. Patricia was backing towards the door. You'll never work in this industry again, Patricia hissed at me. I smiled. Neither will you. The aftermath was chaos. By that evening, the story was everywhere. Vertex Holdings stock dropped 14% overnight. The board launched an emergency investigation. The CEO resigned within a week. As for the layoffs, they were frozen pending investigation. All 200 employees remained employed while federal investigators picked through the company's finances. Derek called me that night, his voice cracking. Marcus, my family, you saved us. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt exhausted, terrified of what might come next, but I also felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. 3 months later, the investigation concluded.
14 executives faced federal charges related to pension fund mismanagement. The layoffs were eventually reduced to 60 positions, people who received full severance packages and job placement assistance, funded by the clawed-back retention bonuses. Patricia Hendricks wasn't among those who kept her job. Her $40,000 bonus was redistributed to the employees whose pension contributions had been misallocated. Me? I was offered my job back, full back pay for the 3 months of administrative leave, a formal apology from the new interim CEO. They even offered me Patricia's old position. I declined. Instead, I took a job at a small startup where the CEO knows everyone's name, where there are no hidden spreadsheets, and where handling someone carefully means making sure they feel valued. Sometimes I still think about that yellow highlight, about being seen as a problem to be managed rather than a person to be respected. It reminds me why I did what I did. Because at the end of the day, companies aren't just spreadsheets and profit margins. They're people, families, dreams. And sometimes those people need someone willing to hit enter.
Thank you so much for sticking with me through this whole story. I know it was a wild ride. If this resonated with you, if you've ever been treated like a number instead of a person, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. And definitely drop a like if you think transparency should be the standard, not the exception. If you have your own workplace nightmare story, something that still keeps you up at night, I want to hear it. Submit it in the comments or send it through the link in the description. Your story could be featured in the next video. Until then, take care of yourselves out there. And remember, you're worth more than a yellow highlight on someone's spreadsheet.